desert stretched endlessly, beneath a sun that refused to forgive. The air shimmered like glass, and heat rose in waves that twisted the horizon into strange, ghostly shapes. Lieutenant Alejandro Vargas adjusted his cap. Squinting at the ragged mountain ahead, the Sierra Madre's jagged teeth, dark and ancient against a bruised sky. They'd been sent to investigate the disappearance of a mining crew. 6 men gone without a trace. No distress calls. No wreckage. Just whispers from a nearby village that the earth had swallowed them whole. Vargas had laughed when he first read the report, but standing there now, staring at the yawning black wound in the side of the mountain, he didn't feel like laughing. The cave looked wrong. Its mouth wasn't a natural opening. It was too round, too deliberate. As if something beneath had forced its way out. Sergeant Raul Mendez spat into the dust and muttered a prayer under his breath. El Pozo del Diablo, he said, the devil's well. Private Luis Ortega, the youngest among them, shifted nervously, his rifle clutched too tight. He had a small notebook tucked into his chest pocket, edges frayed, always within reach. He called it his sanity. Then there was Dr. Camila Navarro, the geologist assigned by the ministry. She had been silent most of the journey, her eyes scanning rock formations with the cold precision of a scientist. But when she saw the cave, her composure faltered. She whispered, almost to herself, "This isn't on any map." They reached the cave just before sundown. The light slipped away too fast, like the sun itself didn't want to see what lay inside. The entrance reeked a thick, damp odor of rot and something chemical, metallic. A black tar-like residue clung to the stones near the opening. Camila crouched, scraping some into a vial. "Organic," she murmured, "but not like anything I've seen." Vargas didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the carvings that surrounded the entrance. Symbols gouged deep into the rock. Looping patterns that seemed to twist if you looked too long. They weren't Aztec, nor Mayan. Something older. "Locals say miners found this weeks ago," Mendez muttered. "Said it whispered to them. That's why no one goes near now." Vargas ignored him. "We move in, mark the chambers, and get out. No stories. No superstition." They switched on their headlamps and stepped into the dark. The sound changed immediately. The air was thick, wet, and alive. Every breath echoed back, slower, like something was breathing with them. The walls shimmered slightly in the beam of their lights, moist, pulsating, as though veins ran beneath the rock. "This isn't limestone," Camila said softly. "It's too warm." She pressed her gloved hand against the wall and drew it back quickly. "It's vibrating." Ortega laughed nervously. "Maybe we're standing on a fault line." But even he didn't believe that. Deeper in, they found the remnants of the mining team, scattered helmets, torn fabric, and twisted metal equipment half embedded into the floor, as if the stone had melted and swallowed them. Mendez knelt beside a pickaxe handle, jutting from the wall. It looked like someone had tried to pull it free, and failed. "Se los tragó la tierra," it whispered. "The earth ate them." Vargas's radio crackled. Static. He tried again. Nothing. Just a faint rhythm beneath the noise, like a heartbeat. "Signal's dead," he said, forcing his voice steady. "We keep going another 20 minutes, then turn back." Camila raised her light and froze. "Lieutenant, look at this." The tunnel ahead opened into a wider chamber, its walls covered in the same black residue, except here it formed patterns. Circles within circles. The shapes weren't painted. They grew from the stone, like tumors. In the center of the chamber lay a shallow pit. Bones jutted from it, old, brittle, some crushed, others disturbingly fresh. Animals. Ortega asked CAM. Ila knelt, brushing dirt aside. Her fingers trembled. "No, these are human." And she stopped. One skull had its jaw fused into the rock, like it had screamed itself into stone. The beam of Mendez's flashlight flickered. "We shouldn't be here, Lieutenant." His voice shook. "There's evil in this place." "You feel it?" "No." Vargas opened his mouth to respond, but the words died as something moved in the darkness beyond the pit, slow, wet, dragging. Every light turned toward the sound. There was nothing, only the walls, pulsing faintly, breathing. Then Ortega whispered, "Did anyone else hear that?" "Hear what?" Vargas snapped. "That voice. It said my name." No one spoke for a long moment. Finally, Vargas said, "We're turning back. Now." But as they turned toward the tunnel they came from, a low rumble shuddered through the cave. Not an earthquake, but something deeper, something alive. Dust rained from above, and the ground seemed to sigh beneath their boots. When they reached the entrance, it was gone. The passage was sealed. Smooth rock, where the opening had been. Camila's flashlight trembled in her hand. "That's impossible." Vargas pressed his palms against the wall, breathing hard. It was warm, pulsing faintly beneath his skin. From deep within the cave, something exhaled, slow, ancient, patient. Mendez whispered a prayer again. But it came out wrong this time. The words slurred, melting together like wax under heat. And in that moment, Ortega laughed, a nervous, broken sound. "It's okay," he said, staring into the darkness. "It just wants us to listen." Hours blurred together in that suffocating dark. The cave swallowed time, the way it swallowed sound. When Vargas checked his watch, its hands spun uselessly, trembling as if frightened. Every second seemed to stretch, bleed, and vanish into the trembling black. They had set up a small perimeter near the blocked passage. Their lanterns flickered like the light was being drunk by the air. Mendez sat apart from the group, mumbling prayers that stuttered and looped back on themselves. Ortega scribbled constantly in his notebook, his lips moving silently. Dr. Camila Navarro paced along the smooth wall, fingers brushing its strange warmth. "This isn't stone," she murmured. "It's closer to keratin ore, maybe some kind of hardened tissue, but it's alive. I can feel it." Vargas, exhausted and angry, snapped, "It's a cave, Doctor." "A cave doesn't breathe," but as he said it, the air shifted again, a slow inhalation. It came from everywhere, and from nowhere. Dust rose from the ground, as if pulled by invisible lungs. "Then explain that," Camila said quietly. The soldiers' lamps caught movement on the wall, tiny veins pulsing beneath the surface, glowing faintly red, like capillaries in human skin. The faint thud they had mistaken for distant thunder was rhythmic. A heartbeat. Vargas clenched his jaw. "We keep moving. There must be another way out." They packed what little they could carry, and descended deeper. Guided by Camila's map, though she admitted the tunnels didn't match her readings. The deeper they went, the more the cave shifted, opening new paths and swallowing old ones. The floor pulsed beneath their boots, soft in places, wet in others. It smelled of copper, rot, and something sweet, a scent that made the back of their throats itch. They found markings again, carved into the walls with tools that looked ancient, spirals. Suns, figures of men, kneeling before something huge and shapeless. The deeper they went, the more these shapes twisted. Men dissolving, merging, with tendrils, their faces serene as they disappeared into the flesh of the cave. Mendez began to mutter that they were walking through the belly of a god. Vargas told him to shut up, but even he felt it now, that presence, thick in the air, watching from every surface. Then the whispers began. Faint at first, like wind caught in cracks. Words in a dozen voices, male, female, young, old, murmuring in Spanish, then Nahuatl, then something older still. The tones were soothing, hypnotic, Almost pleading, Ortega stopped walking. "Lieutenant," he said, his voice small, "it's saying my name again." Vargas turned sharply. "Don't listen." But Ortega's eyes had changed. His pupils were wide, almost eclipsing the color. "It's telling me it remembers me," he said softly. "That I've been here before." He reached out to the wall, fingertips brushing the fleshy surface. It quivered, a ripple spreading outward from his touch. Camila grabbed his arm, yanking him back. "Don't touch it." But when she looked closer, she froze. There were faint impressions in the wall, shapes of hands, faces pressed beneath. The translucent layer, their features distorted, as if they were trapped just beneath the surface. One of the faces twitched. Its mouth opened soundlessly, forming a word she couldn't quite hear. Mendez began to cry quietly, his hands shaking. "Those are the miners," he said. "Madre de Dios, they're still here." The ground shuddered. A low moan echoed through the tunnels, not mechanical, not seismic. Hungry. Vargas tried to call headquarters again, static, the same pulse beneath it, thud, thud, thud. Like the cave was speaking through the radio. Then, from somewhere ahead, came a flash of light. Not white, but blue, ghostly, cold. It pulsed once, twice, and vanished. Camila insisted they follow. Vargas hesitated, but the alternative, staying, was worse. They moved through a narrow passage that reeked of burnt metal. The walls slick with a mucus sheen. When the tunnel opened, it revealed a vast chamber, impossibly large, like a cathedral carved inside a living creature. Columns of glistening tissue rose to a ceiling, lost in darkness, in the center. A shallow pool of the black tar they'd seen earlier shimmered faintly. Its surface rippled, though there was no breeze. Camila approached it, kneeling at the edge. "It's not liquid," she whispered. "It's reacting to us." The pool reflected them, but the reflections didn't move in sync. Vargas's mirrored image smiled when he didn't. Mendez's reflection was missing entirely. Then the reflection of Ortega raised its hand and beckoned him closer. He stepped forward before anyone could stop him. The surface of the pool trembled, then opened, revealing beneath it a spiraling descent of teeth-like ridges, an endless throat leading downward. Vargas pulled Ortega back, just as the first bubble broke the surface. Something exhaled from that hole, a warm, fetid gust that made their lamps flicker and their stomachs twist. Camila screamed "Beak," because the reflection in the pool wasn't theirs anymore. It showed the chamber as it had once been, filled with kneeling figures in torn, ancient uniforms, their eyes hollow, mouths open in silent worship, and behind them, something vast and unseen pressed against the darkness, shifting, breathing, whispering. Vargas stumbled backward, clutching his rifle. "We're leaving," he barked. "Now." They turned, but the tunnel they came from had changed. It was narrower now, slick with dark fluid that dripped from the ceiling like saliva. Mendez crossed himself. "It's alive," he whispered. "The cave is alive." The heartbeat grew louder, louder. Each pulse made the ground tremble, shaking loose dust from above, and in that trembling dark, the cave seemed to whisper, "Stay." As the soldiers stumble through the breathing tunnels, Mendez vanishes first. His screams echo briefly, then twist into laughter that isn't his. Ortega becomes obsessed, whispering to the walls, promising that he understands. Camila insists she can prove the cave is sentient. She cuts into the wall, releasing a black ichor that floods the floor. The fluid carries visions, ancient worshippers merging with the stone, feeding it, giving birth to the mountain itself. The remaining three see Mendez again, half absorbed into the wall, smiling serenely as his flesh melts into the surface. His eyes plead silently for them to join him. Ortega, trembling, accepts. The cave's tendrils wrap around him like roots, pulling him into the wall as he sighs in relief. Vargas and Camila flee downward, pursued by rhythmic tremors. They reach the heart chamber titanic cavity, where the walls pulse with light. In the center, something vast stirs, not seen but felt. An ancient mind waking. It offers them the same choice: union or silence. Camila, entranced, steps forward and disappears into the shifting flesh. Vargas fires at the walls in rage until the ceiling collapses. When rescue teams arrive weeks later, only Vargas is found blind, covered in dark growths that pulse like veins. He mutters about the mouth beneath Mexico, claiming humanity was carved from its body, destined to return. His report is sealed. The cave is buried with explosives. Years later, Ortega's notebook surfaces online. The final pages are frantic sketches. The shape of a face stretching beneath rock. The words, "It's still breathing," scrawled again and again.